Thank you for joining us. I'm Kalina Eck.
And I'm Carrie Chilton. We're staff attorneys with the Disability Law Center of Virginia, and we'd like to tell you a little bit about the whys and whens and whats of evaluations.
So when should evaluations be conducted? The first time a student with a suspected disability will be evaluated is to determine if they are eligible for special education services. After that, the student will be re-evaluated to see if their eligibility or eligibility categories have changed every 3 years. But an IEP team does not need to wait for the triennial review in order to conduct an evaluation. If things have changed in the school setting or the school is considering altering something in a student's IEP, an evaluation can be a helpful way to inform the decisions being made, especially evaluations when a child is having a difficult behavior or problems at school. Evaluations serve to both gather data to determine the root cause of an issue or to evaluate the likely effectiveness of a proposed solution.
What types of information can an evaluation gather? Evaluations in the special education setting can evaluate both academic and functional performance. This means that an evaluation can measure a student's strengths and weaknesses in core subjects such as math and English. However, it can also measure things such as gross and fine motor skills, causes of behavior, and social language skills. There's no specific list of evaluations a parent can request. The sky's the limit. Here are just a few examples of types of evaluations. Remember that the team may wish to conduct several evaluations to gather all the information they need to make a decision.
Who can conduct an evaluation? Evaluators must be trained and knowledgeable and meet the requirements of the assessment. This is a pretty broad standard, and for good reason. Sometimes the evaluation done is just a review of the student's academic record and is done by teachers. Of course, other times you'll need a speech therapist or behavior analyst to do these evaluations. So it's really important to make sure the evaluator has the expertise necessary for the evaluation. For example, it's a red flag if the school principal or other administrative staff with no behavior background are the ones conducting a functional behavioral evaluation. To conduct a valid evaluation, the team needs to select an evaluation that is designed to measure the skills or abilities you're looking to evaluate. An evaluator needs to conduct the evaluation according to the standards and instructions set by the manufacturer of the evaluation. Evaluations or the conducting of an evaluation cannot be discriminatory and cannot have cultural bias. It also needs to be in the child's primary language. We don't want to be assessing how well they speak English, but how well they perform on an occupational therapy assessment. Finally, the evaluation needs to be designed in a way so that it can be administered accurately for the particular student being tested.
A school cannot simply choose any evaluation. For example, the school's psychologist cannot use an evaluation she herself developed unless it has acceptance in the professional community as being reliable and valid. Even if an evaluation is valid and reliable, the administration of the test may not be. Parents will want to keep an eye out for factors that can affect the reliability of an evaluation. For example, if an evaluation is supposed to measure a student's ability to focus, but there's construction going on outside, or a fire alarm accidentally goes off during the test, this may impact the results. Similarly, it may be best to reschedule a speech assessment if a child is still recovering from strep throat. Finally, sometimes an evaluation and the data collected are reliable, but the interpretation of data is not. If the data does not seem consistent with the evaluator's conclusions, the parent may want to have the evaluator further explain how those conclusions were reached, or they may want to consider requesting an independent educational evaluation, which we will discuss later on.
What does the evaluation process look like? A parent can request that an evaluation be conducted, or the IEP team may decide to conduct an evaluation. Either way, informed parental consent is required before conducting an evaluation. Most schools require a parent to sign a written consent form outlining what specific evaluations will be conducted. For evaluations determining initial eligibility for special education services, the school must complete evaluations and hold an eligibility meeting within 65 business days from the decision to evaluate. Evaluations for triennial eligibility review must be completed with enough time for the reevaluation process to be completed before the third anniversary of the last eligibility determination. In all other instances, evaluations must be completed within 65 business days from the date of the decision to evaluate. 65 business days is a pretty long time. Part of the reason why the evaluation process can be very long is that schools may want to collect data over a long period of time for more accuracy. Schools also need time for their evaluators to schedule and conduct evaluations and then review the data and make any recommendations. Some evaluations may take less time than others. Parents should discuss with the school the proposed timeline for each evaluation and also periodically check in with schools to ensure that evaluations are progressing in an efficient manner.
There are some exceptions to the timelines we just discussed. The first two exceptions relate to initial eligibility evaluations. A school can extend the timeline for these evaluations if a parent repeatedly fails or refuses to make their child available for an evaluation. Sometimes a child may transfer to a different school division during the initial evaluation process. In these cases, the new school must be making sufficient progress to ensure a prompt completion of the evaluations, and the school and the parent must agree to a new time frame for completion of these evaluations. Whenever an evaluation is being conducted, the parent and school can agree to extend the timeline in order to get additional data that cannot be collected within the 65 days. This must be agreed to in writing.
If a parent disagrees with a school's evaluation, they can request an independent educational evaluation, or an IEE. This request can be made orally or in writing, but we always recommend that any request be made in writing so there's a record of what was requested as well as the date of the request. Parents have the right for the school to pay for one IEE for each evaluation the school conducts. If the school disagrees with a parent's request for an IEE, they must initiate due process to explain why the IEE is not necessary. Please see our section on dispute resolution options for more information about due process. Even if a school wins at due process, a parent can still obtain an IEE at their own expense. When a parent requests an IEE, the school must provide them with a list of where the evaluation can be obtained and the criteria necessary for the evaluation. Parents can choose to select an evaluator not on the list, so long as they meet the necessary criteria. However, this could impact how much weight a school gives to the IEE. Schools can ask a parent why they disagree with the school's evaluation, but a parent is not required to provide a reason. A school cannot delay an IEE request because a parent refuses to explain why they disagree with the school's evaluation. IEP teams must consider any outside or independent evaluations, but the weight a team gives an evaluation may vary. In our practice, we have found that IEP teams give more weight to IEEs that are requested through the IEE process as opposed to evaluations parents go out and pay for on their own. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this information helpful. For more information, please see the resources available on our website. You can also find our contact information online.